Welcome once again to Yogaxpress. It's all about moving the body to still the mind. And from the sound of my voice, you can see I'm still feeling the effects of last week's taping. I mean, we had an amazing episode with Donna Davidge right here. She is back with us for more, to give more to us. But I'm sure, Donna, I'm sure you enjoyed the experience. But also, what I really want to point out, I really want to thank you for that. You actually made me get into a posture that I thought would be impossible for my body.
Thank you.
Chaturanga. Oh my God. I was so happy. Of course, I had the advantage of using a block. I know Stephen didn't need it, but thank you very much
You're
for
very
that.
welcome.
I want to acknowledge once more my crew, Antonio, Lizette, and Corey. Thank you so much. We really appreciate that you have been with us the last couple of weeks. We really appreciate it. You make us feel and look so good right here on the mat. Stephen, any feedback from last week's episode?
It was
How
wonderful.
did you feel?
I felt
good,
great.
right?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure. And it just feels so good when you're able to complete a practice. Remember, guys, you don't have to stretch or do any of your yoga practice for 2 or 3 hours at a time and then nothing the next day. Right, Donna?
Absolutely.
You just want to be consistent, maybe 20, 30 minutes at a time.
I
What do you
totally
think,
agree
Steve?
with
I
that.
agree. I think sometimes
I
just
always
10
call-
minutes. Is
Yeah,
10
yeah.
minutes is plenty,
I
right?
call that LSD. I think long, slow distance is much better. Long,
I love
slow
that.
distance.
Long, slow distance, LSD. I love
No,
that.
I really think
love
I
that.
totally agree with that. Like 20 minutes a day is
Yeah.
so much more beneficial, or even 10 minutes, than going to the class like 2-3 hours once a week,
then
and then you're all sore and you're like, oh, yeah.
Right, and you want that effect to last for a whole week. That's okay if you're going to a class where you have to pay a lot of money. So, yeah, you want to get your week's workout in one day because it's expensive. But if you're practicing on your own, just stay with us, watch us. Yogaxpress is the best kept secret in the whole of New York City. No one knows about us except you guys. So stay with us. So Donna, by the way, check Donna out. Her credits will be up every now and then right there. It's right there again. Donna has DVDs out there, and you should go to her website to check that out. You've got 1, 2, 3 DVDs.
There are 3 DVDs there, yes.
And she also does retreats. So, Donna, just a very quick recap. You do your retreats, is it once a year?
Every year from mid-May to mid-October, they're ongoing, so people can come in whenever they want. They can leave whenever they want based on the availability. It's very small. It's very personalized.
Right.
We only have 6 guest bedrooms. We don't put people in dormitory or with strangers like some other retreats. It's meant to be a very personalized experience.
Right.
And we have a lot of fun doing that. And so people can
sounds
come to Northern Maine and enjoy the beauty up there. And there's lots of natural beauty. We have great food all the time, very healthy yogi food. And it's a good thing.
And it's yogi food, but it's normal, everyday food, not
Well,
aloe vera juice and cactus pie.
No, it's not a juicing thing. A good point. No, we do serve vegetarian food, but the interesting thing is that a lot of people that come are not vegetarians. And Steve can
Right.
attest to this because he's been there, and most of them really enjoy the food because we know that food is incredibly important.
Right.
We make it tasty, we make it healthy, we give you plenty of it, because I've heard of retreats where people are like, oh, when the food's gone, you don't get any more. I've heard those stories. You don't show up for the meal, it's gone. So we try to treat people really, really well, kind of a boutique experience. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
sounds amazing. I'm going to have to check you out.
I hope you
If I
will.
was not going to India this time, after the next couple of weeks of our taping, I'm going to be away for my own cultural retreat in India. I take care of my mom 5 months in the year. So if I wasn't going, maybe next time.
I hope so.
I'm going to stay in touch with you
We'd
when I
love
come
to
back.
have you.
Oh, I would love to be there. Guys, check out one of her retreats. Just listening about it, and I heard Steve talk about it too before we started taping today. I think you're going to have a wonderful experience. Donna, what are we
Yes.
doing today?
Well, so today I think we're going to work a little bit on the concept of standing poses and how they relate to our hips.
Okay.
So the classic poses of Warrior 1, Warrior 2, Virabhadrasana, and what do they lead to?
Oh.
Because a lot of times when you see people doing yoga these days, if it's done too quickly, they don't understand the difference in how the hip should look. So I think we can start out with Warrior 1, look at some stuff from there, Warrior 2, look at some stuff from there, just do some nice standing poses.
Sounds good, yeah.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and come on standing. Right, so I think we'll start with Tadasana. So mountain posture, you can have your feet touching, big toes touching if that works for you. You can also have your feet slightly apart, but if you take your feet wider than your hips, you're no longer in a Tadasana. This is not really Tadasana. So those are the choices. And the arms, you have a couple choices too. One is that you can have your palms just kind of relaxed and facing your outer thigh. And 2, this other position you see frequently, so take whatever you'd like, is to have the palms facing forward and the shoulders slightly externally rotated. That one's kind of nice because a lot of us tend to slouch, and that way you kind of open your heart up a little bit. So right here, of course, our hips are even, right? But even as our hips are even, just take note. Your eyes right now can actually be open or closed. Take note of which side of your body might be a little bit more strongly supporting you. Can you sense that, or does it feel pretty even? Good. And the other thing here is to sense if there's any movement anywhere. And if there is in your body, what can you do to correct that? What muscles you might engage? Perhaps it's making your hips spread apart a little bit more that makes your legs stronger. Perhaps it's opening the heart a little bit more and engaging your belly a little bit more. Just see what makes you a little more still. Good. We're going to find our way back to downward facing dog so that from there we can move into these postures that I spoke about. So as you inhale, reach up into Urdhva Hastasana so we can get a little bit stretched out here. Take a few breaths. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. One more time, gazing forward or up, whatever your neck likes. Inhale and exhale. And then let's fill the lungs a few times. So inhale, and as you exhale, circle the arms down and out to the side. Just want to get people breathing. And then inhale, reach the arms up into a big circle, fill the lungs. I think sometimes we say we're breathing in yoga, we forget. And then exhale, bring the arms down. So I want you to feel like you're really opening your lungs when you take that deep inhale. Big inhale. You can make it audible if you like. Now you've filled the lungs. Can you feel it? And exhale. Yes, then you've released, giving back. Okay, cool. So we're going to find our way back to down dog. Very simple. You're just going to fold forward into a rag doll so that you can hold onto the floor. And you're going to spread your fingers wide in preparation for down dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. You're going to step the right foot back, then the left, or doesn't matter which order really. And you're going to pull the tailbone back. You're going to press forward into the heels of your hands. Stay in the downward facing dog for a few moments because this is not a segment where we're taking time to warm up with sun salutes or anything. So let's just be in our down dog and stretch a little bit. And Steve was just pedaling his feet. You can pedal your feet. You can nod your head. You can do whatever you like here for a few breaths, right? Another thing you can think about is every time you breathe out, get a little more grounded into the earth. Pull the heels down a little bit more. Push forward into the heels of the hands a little more. Let your head relax a little more. Let your chest get closer to your thighs. It's a very little nuance, but it will make that a nice strong stretch, right? Good. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to get ready for Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1 or A. And we're just going to step our right foot forward. So inhale, step your right foot forward, and exhale, bend your right knee directly over the ankle. I want to come up slowly into this, so I'd like you to look back at your left foot. And I want you to make sure that your left foot is angled at about a 45-degree angle so that before we come up, you're pulling your left hip forward, your right hip back, and you're feeling an evenness in your hips. Because naturally when you come up, that left hip's going to want to come back. So come on up and don't let that left hip come back. Let it come forward. Pull the left hip forward. Take your hands onto your hips and keep pulling the left hip forward, the right hip back. This looks really good. And you want to make sure that that right knee is directly over the ankle. Good, and that the back leg is as straight as possible. So both of these guys have their hip pretty straight forward, right? When you start to bring the arms forward, you will find out if you are indeed have square hips. So reach the arms forward, and if they're even, you're pretty good, right? If one's a little bit, then you're not. And then reach the arms up into your full Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. Good, great. So if your right shoulder's a little bit in front of your left, then it probably means you got to pull the left hip forward a little bit more and the right one back. So we want to go for square hips. I personally think that this is actually a little more work than Warrior 2 because the back hip kind of likes to open up on its own. So they're going to hold this for a few breaths, and the distance between the legs is really up to you. People that are newer are probably going to want to have their legs a little closer. People that have been doing yoga for a while, you might want to have your legs so far apart that that upper part of your leg becomes parallel to the floor. That's quite deep into the hips. Okay, good. So from here, we're going to have them switch sides. So inhale as you exhale. Take your hands down to the floor. Good. Let's revisit downward facing dog. Inhale. Take it back. How'd that feel, you guys?
Good.
Good.
Strong.
Strong. We held it for a while. Okay, good. So let's go to do the second side. So you're going to inhale, step that left foot forward. Again, the distance is up to you. Bend the left knee, exhale. Take your time. Ground that back heel at approximately a 45-degree angle of the back foot. And the reason I say approximately is because none of us are exactly the same. But when you come up, you want to pull the right hip forward, the left hip back. Take your hands onto your hips to feel that. Go ahead. Keep pulling that right hip forward, left hip back. You want to feel a little stretch in the front of the right hip. Good. Once you get those legs really stable, then you're going to reach the arms forward and you're going to see if they feel like the fingertips are even. And from there, you're going to reach it on up and you're in Warrior One. Good. Now, what I have not talked about, because I don't really talk about it when I teach, is your relationship of your left heel to your right heel. When I teach personally, I let people kind of take what is comfortable for them, because again, I think it has to do with their hips individually. But sometimes you get instruction on that, and if you do, go ahead and take it. Okay, so you're going to inhale, and you're going to take your hands back down to the floor, and then you're going to come back to downward facing dog again. Good. Good. So now we have done our closed hip position. So what do we think is next? Open hip position. Okay, so let's go ahead and take the right foot forward again. And this time when you're coming up, you're going to look at your back foot and you're going to pivot that foot open a little bit. One thing you see with a lot of people when they come into this posture is their left toes come back too far. So you want to have the maximum is the outer edge of your left foot in line with the outer edge of your back mat. No toes facing the back of the mat. And then you're going to come up and your right knee is going to be bent. Now, one thing that's very common here is as you open the left hip, the right knee goes in. See my right knee going in? That's a no-no. So take your right knee back right over the ankle as if you were kind of taking the knee out towards your tiny toe, towards your little toe. And then your lower body is set up for Warrior Two. So both of these guys should have their hips really facing me. And so then what we're going to do with our Warrior Two is we're going to take the right arm forward, the left arm back. And one thing that helps is to look at your back arm to see if it's lined up, because theirs are, but sometimes people's aren't. And then you're going to look over your forward fingers. So we have this thing called dristi in yoga, gaze. And that is that you keep your eyes very focused. So see how they're focusing very specifically. Get really specific. You're going to look at that little finger. And your gaze is not intense, you're not staring intently, but you are one-pointed and focused with a soft gaze. So this is the open hip position, right? So another thing that they're not doing, but I'm going to demo it, and you guys, I know you're getting tired, but you're going to hold it for another moment, is you see a lot of people coming forward or really doing it, right? So you want to keep the shoulders relaxed and keep the shoulders over your hips, which they're doing because they know yoga. So you're going to inhale, and then they're going to take their hands down to the floor, exhale, and then come back to their downward facing dog. Good. Virabhadrasana, warriors. We're working on warriors today. So now we're going to take the left foot forward with an inhale. Take your left foot forward. And then go ahead and angle that back foot so that back leg feels so strong. You're pulling a lot of energy into the outer edge of that right foot. And then you're going to come up pulling the right hip back now and the left hip forward. In other words, the open hip position. So looking over your forward fingers. Good. So this is really helpful and kind of key. And then the next question would be, well, what poses are related to the open hip and closed hip? And I like to work with that a lot when I teach. And so now we're going to let them go back to down dog. So go ahead, inhale as you exhale, bring it down and come back to downward facing dog. And then before we get into some stronger poses, let's give them a little rest, right? So inhale as you exhale, lower your knees to the floor and sit back into child. Just relax in your
Down
baby.
dog feels like a vacation after that.
Well, Banu's got a good point. She's got a good point that downward facing dog, she said it felt like a vacation. It is considered the resting pose these days, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas like this is really the resting pose. But how often in a vinyasa class, unless you just, instigate it yourself, right? Do they say, hey, yeah, you're in the middle of practice, take down dog? Not too often. I mean, take down dog, take child, not too often. Take down dog all the time. So, okay, yeah. Alrighty, so now we're going to figure out what poses we're going to do from open and closed hip. I'd like to go back to the open hip now. So come back up into downward facing dog. And you're going to inhale, take the right foot forward, And you're going to open the left hip, and you're going to bend the right knee. You're going to exhale, ground down. You're going to come up, and you're going to bring the right arm forward again and the left arm back. So another classic yoga posture that you see a lot is Trikonasana, right? Triangle. So triangle is an open hip position, and if we had a wall, I could actually have us do it against the wall. That'd be interesting, but it's not going to work on the set. So just straighten your right leg, everybody, and if your legs feel too far apart, step your feet a little closer. This is entirely up to you. Some people like to do it more wide apart. And then you're going to inhale, and you're going to keep that left hip open because this is an open hip position. And you're going to take the right arm down. Now, the thing about this posture also is it's not about how far down the leg you take the right arm. It's about lengthening your spine, right? Over the leg. Your head is over the leg. And then you're going to bring the left arm up. So for me, when I do this posture, I often do use the block. Banu doesn't need the block, but since we have one, I'm going to show her because you can use it inside or outside your foot, right?
Yeah, so much better.
Yeah, and I do. It does feel better, right? Yeah. So, and when you have these props, sometimes you can actually hold the posture more properly and longer. So it's good. Are we breathing? We must be breathing because it's yoga. We have to be breathing. I haven't talked about that enough. Okay. So with an inhale, come up. So that's an open hip position, right? And then we're going to do one more open hip position here. So we're going to bend the right knee. And this is another classic one, right? Side angle posture, Parsvakonasana. And you're going to inhale, and maybe you'll take your hand to the floor. But for a lot of people, that's too far. Or on a block, that's a good one. So if you take the forearm on the thigh, you want to be very mindful to keep that shoulder down, not up. A lot of people just kind of take a vacation. So take that left arm up over your head. And then you want to look up because that will rotate the body as it should be, where you're going to have that more open left hip, more open left rib cage, right? And you, look at the beautiful line on these people, right? So this is what you want. You want to feel very open as they tuck the tailbone under, as they engage their belly to support their lower back, and all these little nuances that make yoga interesting instead of boring because we keep refining it. Good. So then we're going to come back to Warrior Two. Inhale. And then you're going to take your hands back down to the floor. Exhale, and we have to do this on the other side, right? So come back to down dog, step your left foot forward with an inhale. Take your Warrior Two. Take your time, get grounded. Exhale. I like to exhale before I come up because exhales ground you. So I always take that kind of slow. Good. And then gazing over your forward fingers. Beautiful, beautiful. And now straighten the left leg. Good. And keep thinking of keeping the right hip open. And then inhale, lengthen your spine forward. And exhale, take the left arm down, the right arm up. And keep opening the hips, because that's our concept today, is where are our hips? Yeah. And breathe.
I like that reminder, breathe.
Yes, we need to be reminded to breathe, definitely. We forget, and yet we're doing it all day, but we need to be reminded to breathe yogically, in and out through the nose. And then you're going to inhale, come up, good. And then you're going to exhale, bend the left knee. And again, we're in this open hip position. And then you're going to inhale, and you're going to come down, maybe the forearm, maybe the hand. Oh, I didn't mention the bind. Okay, while they're here, I'll also mention the bind. Some people like to slide that arm under, take that back arm behind your back, and you still want to keep that angle. So the thing about the bind is, so you see people trying the bind, and then all of a sudden their torso is like going forward. It's more important, I think, to keep that nice line of energy in your body, because ultimately yoga is about trying to balance our energy. They look beautiful, don't they? And now you're going to inhale, come back up to Warrior Two. Good. And you're going to exhale, come back down. Good. And then you're going to stay in downward facing dog. And so we have to do something with the closed hips. I find that there's more options with the open hip, but there's certainly options with a closed hip. So let's take the right foot forward with an inhale, and let's come up into Warrior One. So the left hip is forward, the right hip is back. Good. So one of the options that we could take here, you can actually do this next posture either open or closed hip, but let's choose the closed hips, is you're going to inhale, and you're going to clasp your fingers at your lower back, and you're going to keep pulling your left hip forward, and you're going to hinge from your hips, and you're going to come forward into humble, devotional warrior, right? So we've done Warrior One, we've done Warrior Two, we've done devotional warrior. Yes. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, release. So what warrior have we not done, you guys?
Warrior Three.
So Warrior Three.
And so 3 is where the hips stay even, but that's not so easy. Okay, so they're in warrior 1, and then they're going to take their weight forward, and they're going to try to keep that left hip forward. That's hard. For a lot of us, like this is my hard side to balance on, so for me, I probably would lose the alignment because I'm going for my balance first, right? So go for your balance first, so go ahead and take your weight. And the other thing is, if you have a block handy and you need it, sometimes I need it on my right foot. I believe the reason I have problems with is my bunion's bigger on the right side. I'm not sure I got big bunions, but at any rate, you learn about your body and what side works what way. Good.
This way?
So here's Steve. Go ahead. I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to make his right leg work a lot more. Oh, right, Steve?
Yes.
Oh, yes. So that's the hard part. This one is really fun to do on the wall also with a partner because they can do what I'm doing for Steve. Good, 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 good. I'll do a little bit for Banu here. Whoop, there you go. And then you're going to inhale and you're going to exhale, step back into warrior 1. Ah, good. Inhale. As you exhale, take it down. Come back to downward facing dog. So these are slow, but they're strong, right? Yes.
Yes.
Now, one more thing I want to say about downward facing dog, they're doing really nicely. You want to make sure that you engage your belly so you lengthen your lower back. I used to think, oh, you know, the more I bend here, the better. It's not. And so you want to engage your navel, lengthen the lower back, because it's not a back bend, it's a forward bend, right? Just a little tidbit. Okay, so now we're going to take the left foot forward with an inhale. You're going to pull the right hip forward, left hip back. Exhale, ground down. Inhale, come up into your Virabhadrasana, warrior 1. Pull energy into that back leg. And the first thing that we did here was the devotional. So go ahead and clasp your fingers. Try to straighten your elbows as much as you can. Look up towards the sky, shoulder blades down your back. Inhale. As you exhale, hinge from the hips. Come forward, bring the arms up off your back. Doesn't matter how far you're getting, by the way, right? So just do what you can. And then inhale, come back up, and exhale, warrior 1. Now here we can think about pulling that right hip forward, really forward, because we know where we're going. We're going to warrior 3. So you're going to take your weight forward on your left foot, and ideally both legs are as straight as possible, pulling that right hip down, doing whatever you need with your arms to balance. So hands to the chest, closer to the center of gravity. Arms out in front, full expression of the posture. So do the best you can. Breathe, it always helps. Engage your navel, it always helps.
I had a friend who would say, it's okay to be average, it's not okay to be mediocre. So we still have to do our best.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I really loved it.
I love quotes. There's just so many good quotes.
They make so much sense because you just pick it up along the way.
Yes. And now you're going to inhale and you're going to exhale, step back. Good. Now, while we're here, 4 minutes. While we're here, I'm going to do one more thing from the closed hip position. And we're not going to do it on both sides, right? So we'll give you time for Shabbat. But let's do this because this is really good. Bring your arms straight up. Keep your hips as they are, closed. Take the right arm outside the left. Back knee can be up or down. Twist from your waist. Don't let the right hip drop. Don't let that left buttock stick out, right? You want to keep the closed hip position. This is super strong, right, you guys? Really strong. If it's too strong for you, drop the back knee, but it's a great example. And now inhale, come back up. My back heel is up. It doesn't have to be, but my hips are square, and now I'm strengthening into my legs. And then we're going to come down. You're going to have to do the second side on your own because I think we need
we have time.
Oh, yeah? Okay, good. All right. So let's switch sides. And take it up. Right? So pull the left hip forward. You should feel a stretch in here. Yeah. The more you straighten the back leg, the more it's going to help you support the pose. Now, hook the arm outside the leg. And the twist works from the waist up so those hips stay what? Closed exactly as they are. Don't let the left hip drop. If you have your left knee down because your legs are tired, then you can let your left hip drop. That's a little bit different. But still think about your hips being square. Good. Aren't they doing great? This is very strong. And now inhale, come back up. Back heel off the floor, leg strengthening posture. Good. Inhale as you exhale, lower it down. Good. I'm going to ask them to step to the front of their mat, to fold over, to bend their knees, to do a little chair, to do a little prayer.
Oh, that right. That's beautiful.
And to come down. Because I know that we only have 2 minutes left. Now, you could lay on your back, but I'm going to suggest, until Banu finishes what she's doing, that we sit with our breath. So you rest your wrists on your knees, you lift your spine.
Ooh, how do you feel, Steve?
I feel
Exactly.
wonderful.
You see how you
Right?
feel, yeah.
And I knew with Donna's warning, I was telling my team, oh my God, the next episode I'm going to go. Actually, I am sweating, and it feels good. It feels good.
Yes.
You don't have to
It's a
do
happy
much
sweat.
to
Right.
really
Yes.
work, yeah.
It's a happy sweat. And I'm glad you decided to use the prop because it really does help. And especially for me, it does help me get a little deeper than I believed I could.
I think some people don't want to use props and they're doing themselves a disservice.
They
Yeah.
are, but there are some schools, and in fact I trained originally in that kind of a school. So in the beginning, I didn't know how to use props and I didn't use them. And you're right, I was doing myself a disservice, and I found it was more comfortable, more enjoyable. But some schools believe that your body is your own prop. I trained in a school like that. So, you just do the best you can, and that's why it came
Yeah,
to my
and
mind
there
with-
are definitely forms of yoga like Ashtanga where they really don't use props. And,
Right.
and they're just different approaches to, what do they say? Truth is one, paths are many. Right? So same with yoga.
one goal.
Many,
and
many
the
ways to do it. But
Right.
I find that this
But
is
props are
good.
useful, yeah. And then, but they're like training wheels. We should use them probably only as long as we really need them.
Well,
Because
also
otherwise I'm
because
cheating.
I think every body is different.
It's
And what one
different.
body can do without a prop, the other person may not be able to do.
Right.
They need
They
the prop
probably
in order to do the pose.
Correct. That's true.
Yeah, I've been teaching a really long time now, and I just think that everybody is so individual, and you really need to honor that, because people go into a class and think, oh, we all have to do the same thing.
Right. No, you don't have to. Guys, stay in touch with us. Stay in touch with Donna. Davidge yoga.com, and you just saw the credits roll at the end. DonnaDavidgeYoga.com is not the only website. She is all over the place. But go to the main website. You'll find a lot more about Donna. On behalf of Steve and my wonderful, wonderful crew, Antonio, Lizette, and Corey, thank you so much. I really appreciate your help. Thanks for hanging in there and seeing us through today. This is Banu Suresh signing off. You are watching Yoga Express. Every Monday, 7:30 to 8 a.m. is when you should be practicing anyway. Not only Mondays, every day, but we air every Monday. So